Hello, our YouTube. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the first edition of the RUPL week recaps. So we actually missed the first week of recaps as well as predictions for week two. So we're going to be picking up with the conclusion of week two. We're going to go over that week and then we're going to take a brief look at week three and kind of give us some thoughts about how that'll pan out. But first, I think we should take this opportunity just to introduce ourselves, find out who all is casting with us. To begin with, I'm Ming549 on Smogon. I'm affiliated with the Iron Fisters. Hoorah! And yeah, I play like Scarlet Violet, Sword Shield, Sun Moon, and yeah. I guess we can start with Avarice then.
Yeah, so my username is Avarice, and I pretty much play whatever on Smogon. I guess you main, if anything, and this season I'm playing Auras for the Crunch Reps.
All right, cool. I think is it BluBird next?
Hello, I'm BluBird. I'm playing SSRU for the Rocky Mountain Payloaders. I've been in love with the tier like ever since SEL 1, I believe. And yeah, that is pretty much it.
All right, beautiful. ZS.
Yeah, I'm ZS on Smogon. I'm playing SV for the Tenacious Technicians. I'm playing pretty much everything current gen, and in this store as well, I'm playing SVRU.
All right, cool. And finally, Gum.
Oh, hi, I'm Gom. I'm helping the Noble Guardians, and I'm supposed to be like retired, but that never happened, so yeah.
And we appreciate you coming out of retirement to come commentate with us. Go
Great,
Gum.
thank you.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, RUPL week two, we had a full slate full of very exciting games. So let's just kind of hop in, briefly talk about each week's matchup. So, Bulletproof Bombers versus Toxic Chains. I guess we can kind of look at this Scarlet Violet matchup first. Um, what are just some of the thoughts y'all had about like these matchups? Like, kind of what did you think about these players? We obviously see how they turned out on screen in front of us.
I've actually done predictions for that week, so I'm just gonna pick that up real quick and
Yeah,
go for
absolutely.
it. I think Taka versus Fiend was supposed to be Blunder versus Fiend.
Yeah, it was a last minute
And
sub.
yeah, it was a last minute sub, and I think I predicted Blunder to win the game because I thought he was a stronger player with better support. However, Fiend ended up taking that game from versus Taka. Fiend is pretty great as a player, especially recently. He has been doing really well, especially in seasonals, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, he made it all the way to grand finals. Um, Lost in a nail biter to Franklin, I think, who took the entire tournament. But yeah, I mean that was kind of a tough series for anyone who watched it. A little bit of hacks here and there, but just great play from Fiend overall. Making it two finals and seasonals, I think is
Yeah, that was pretty great. Obviously, the second matchup had Stresh in it, and I'm no one to predict Stresh to lose.
Yeah, I
He's probably
agree.
the best player play-wise in the tournament. And then we had Ziri versus Scarfrim. I'm not sure if Scarfrim is Scarf, like used to go by Scarf prior to this. I have no idea.
Yeah, you're thinking of the right guy.
Okay, I'm thinking of the right guy. Okay. So yeah, I thought Ziri was pretty good, even though he beat him week one,
yeah.
and he was gonna bounce back eventually, and that was it. The SE matches were pretty favoring for the Toxic Chains. They have probably the best SV core in the tour, and I think it showed in the power rankings. They were ranked
Yeah,
first,
I think I
I
would agree
think.
with that. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys are either, I mean, Fiend has been coming back from a somewhat retirement, but he's been putting up very good numbers in seasonals. He qualified for, ladder tour, um, has been showing just really good like familiarity with the gen. And you can kind of say that with a few of these guys actually. They might not all be slotted into the Scarlet Violet gen, but they, like IFO or even Crossbow, Evie, obviously, all of them are, comfortable with the gen.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, then we move on to the Sword Shield matchup, Mary versus Mac 3. Mary won
Oh
that
my
over
god.
Mace. Yeah.
Yeah, much to quote unquote everyone's surprise because lots of people are like, I don't want to say look down on the new players like Fogbound and Meru who are supposedly not experienced enough, but Meru brought the heat. They brought like a very innovative approach. The tier like it was a good team and it had like a Rindoberry right period which obviously worked very fine for them. And Calmine Bronzong, which was actually pretty scary. They played very well and Mace also played well. But by the way, I'm calling him Mace because I don't know how to pronounce that name anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a fan of both teams. They played great, but I believe that Meru had an advantage with the Entei, so they just pushed for it a bit more. And yeah, that was a very good game down to the wire. I'm
Yeah, that
also
was really
confident that
cool.
Mace will definitely bounce back in the
Yeah.
upcoming weeks.
In the grandstanding too, grandstandings. This is week 2. I think Mace had a tough week 1 as well, right?
Yeah,
Did he drop that
versus
series?
Quilly, yeah.
Yeah, versus Quilly. So, one of the more expensive members, one of the more expensive buys for the Toxic Chains. But, I've talked to some of their teammates. They have full utmost confidence in him. I think a lot of the Sword Shield community looks at Mace and is like, he'll bounce back.
To be
This
honest,
is,
he's like a pillar of SSRU. He got me
yeah,
into the tier, so I have like huge respect for him.
absolutely. So, we expect to see big things from Mace. Mace, if you're watching this, everyone is holding out for you. We're
The
expecting,
pressure's on. Yeah.
a great rest of the season. Let's say that great rest of the season.
Yeah.
Um, okay, moving on to the Sun Moon slot. Then we have Ima versus Crossbow. Anyone has any comment? I mean, I have comment about that too. I guess I can just start. I watched this live. This was. I think it's important too to like give a little bit of context where we can with like standings for the week. So this was, I think, when the week was tied 3-3 for Bombers versus Chains. This was the game to break the tie, secure the tie for the week overall. And Crossbow, he had a tough showing week 1, but I think he did a great job this week. He bounced back. This was a very like kind of, I don't want to say it was a convincing win per se because it really was back and forth for most of the game, but I really thought he did a good job of like tightening the screws near the end there, to get that win. Yeah.
Okay, next up, I guess, is Auras.
Mhm.
Next up, I guess, is Auras. Asna versus AFO.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is the interesting game to watch. It was
It was like this crafty
it
one.
wasn't really much of a game. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes,
it's
this
pretty
was the
much just
scrappy
Eco's
game.
prep paying off. I think it's pretty neat how they were able to get the bulky Scrafty to work. I mean, it makes sense with Ajna pretty much just running safe things, and Ifo did a good job punishing that with the bulky spread.
Yeah, and I will actually put this question out like in general. Scrafty, week 2. Fun fact: after going through all the replays, Scrafty was brought to every week 2 match this week, and in every game, Scrafty won. So 100% win
Oh
rate
god.
for week
Oh my
2.
god.
Um, what do y'all think about that? Because I know Scrafty has a lot of, people have gone back and forth about how healthy he is, quote unquote, for the meta. Um, just like how easy it is sometimes to take advantage of what he brings to the table.
I actually brought Scrafty both weeks so far, and I think both games it was pretty important. I think it's just doing typical Scrafty things and how it usually plays a part in metagames in its history, where it's just OSRU is a very well, I don't know about very, but it's like a long game oriented type of tier, and having a mon with knockoff is always going to be valuable in it. So Scrafty having 2 ways to boost as well can be pretty convenient too, so you can flex it around a bit depending on what the team needs, staying power or not.
Yeah, for sure.
Eh,
I'm a,
I think
I
it's
think it's
balanced overall.
yeah. I think another thing too
Is
to
it like
mention for Scrafty is like Shedskin, like not an underrated part maybe to his kit, but like when you're talking about long games like that, if you're getting like random scald burns or toxic here and there, you can kind of just Shedskin it off. So it still matters to preserve Scrafty in that sense to not let it get super status, but less so than if you were like a Venusaur per se, right? Like a lot of Venusaur matchups
Yeah,
can just depend on, oh, is your Venusaur burned? Well, you lose. So
Tough luck. Yeah.
yeah. Even on like substitute scrappy decks, you'll often just end up running Shed Skin anyway, just so you can still take advantage of that defensive utility.
cool. All right. Anyone else? Some comment on Auras?
I don't think so.
All right, cool. So then Black White, Lax versus Devon. Yeah, I don't know. I never really know what to make of a Black White game, if I'm being honest.
That game was very silly from what I recall. Well, the gen as a whole is very silly. This tier is
Yeah,
just,
is the epitome of silliness.
yeah, this tier is ridiculous. Yeah, I
I
don't
just
know.
remember Lax getting unlucky and then like still winning.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
little bit. Yeah, I think there was a random. Was this like the Golurk game with like Rendo Golurk or something? Something like that.
No, it was Sas Golurk, I believe.
Right, Sash Golurk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
yeah.
that kind of is quintessential Black White, right? I mean, sometimes it just comes down to who gets luckier. It happens.
Yeah. Especially
Well,
in black and white, like
it's like every time the luckier player wins. That's
Mm,
about it. I don't think
yeah.
there's like ever been a black and white game that didn't come down to that at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of skill expression in the tier usually, just because black white metas are really volatile for the lower tiers, I think, as a whole.
Yeah.
oh man.
Well, I also don't
I
want to
think
say
like
no skill expression, but
I mean, limited, because like
I feel
games
like
are often not super long unless you're like Gilly, or however you say his name, and running like awkward
Yes.
fat shit.
mhm.
Was
yeah, but
it
I
the
feel like I don't know.
Calmine the Lomomola this week, right?
Calm mine down. Yeah.
That was
Uh,
awesome, yeah.
Gum, were you trying to say something?
Oh yeah, just I don't know. I feel like a lot of the black and white games are kind of wanting the builder rather than like in the game, which I think is like kind of a fun aspect to it.
Yeah, I'd
I don't
agree with
know,
that.
'cause, like there's a lot to do in the builder.
I mean, the same kind of applies in every tier, but in black white, it's like emphasized a bit more because we see a lot of games just being decided in preview. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
All right.
think my
So
issue with black and white as a whole. Yeah, you continue. Go on.
yeah. So now we have our first best of three slot, Feliburn versus Evie. The two current TLs for RU are fantastic tier leaders. And yeah, I don't know if y'all can. This week, this best of three matchup I watched live. It was kind of tough just for Evie. Game one, Scarlet Violet. I think Feliburn had like a banded Okidogi versus a fighting resistless team from Evie. So that was, at least in my opinion, just a hard matchup to get over off
Yeah,
preview. But
yeah, I remember Evie having a hard matchup. I think like Feli loaded s- Hazard stack with Palisand and Sleepy Doggy into fighting resist Hippo down.
yeah,
He was pretty hard and Feli got a lot of Scorching Sands burns, which made it impossible for Evie to win.
yeah. I think Evie has also had kind of a tough run of the tournament so far. Versus Feli week two, week one was it
Franklin, it was versus Franklin week
Franklin,
one.
right? And
Yeah,
Franklin
I
is
mean,
just
Yeah, the best of three pool is pretty hard
yeah,
for any.
it's insane. The best of three pool is literally insane.
right. And we'll definitely get into that. I mean, you can see the next matchup, best of threes, Franklin Baraldo. Both of those are like that'll be an entire conversation by itself. But yeah, Feli
Yeah,
Epi,
I just
tough
want to say
matchup.
that I'm a fan of the ideas both players brought in SS because I see Vikavolt on Felburn's side, and I love that mon. But I also see like Specs Toxtricity and Exact Pattern Metagross from Evi. It's like a very nice and creative way to get your threats in.
I actually
So look at
think
the
that was a
Bangoro.
scarf toxicity.
Was it? Oh my
I
god, it
do
did so
not
much
think
with Boomburst.
that was
Yeah.
a crit boom burst. I really don't think crit boom burst from Specs would have left Nido Queen alive.
Yeah, there was probably Scarf, but that was definitely last specs. Like either
Okay.
Scarf or Unlocked. I don't know, but
Oh my
Yeah,
definitely
god,
not.
something
that's
like
yeah,
that.
it did 93. Yeah, it wasn't Specs. That's very true. It did
But
93
yeah,
with
I
a
mean,
crit.
just a tough matchup, but a very entertaining matchup, I think.
Yeah,
Overall, this
very,
week
very,
between Bombers and
very
Toxic
dynamic
Chains,
games.
yeah, yeah. I think Bombers and Chains this week, it was a great watch. I didn't get to catch all of these live, but I watched a fair few of them, so it was a great watch. I think their Scarlet Violet is always great to watch. I forget who mentioned it before, but they have one of the stronger Scarlet Violet backbones in the tournament. So it's always going to be kind of cool to just see what they cook up every week.
Definitely.
All right. Does anyone else have any just like closing remarks, players wise, game wise, for either the Bombers or Toxic Chains?
Yeah, I think
I think we're cool.
very cool.
All right, cool.
Thanks.
Next up, then, Technicians, Hustlers. First tie of the week. I think only tie of the week. Yeah, only tie of the week.
Yeah, we're first to
ZS, I can kind of just toss the mic to you. This is your team, after all, at least the Technicians. So yeah, kind of walk us through Scarlet Violet. What did y'all expect going into the week? How did it play out? And yeah,
Yeah, we went into the week, I think, pretty confident after the tie week one. We played pretty well, especially in our SV games. Got a bit unlucky in there at some points week one, so we were pretty confident in our teams. And the Hustlers also came off a loss, so they were definitely scary because they wanted probably to bounce back from that loss. So we thought they would put like a lot of work into preparation. And it kind of showed in the games. The T-Nunes didn't bring a Ziyuma on this time, so he won.
Yeah.
That's basically what happened for that game. Um, as far as our like SV goes, I think we have a pretty strong SV. Floss is obviously amazing, probably one of the best players in SVRU right now. Top three, I'd say even. I consider myself to be good, and Ishtar is obviously pretty good as well. And we're pretty active as we build in core, so I think we have the tools to at least end the tour positive in SV combined pretty comfortably.
yeah,
And yeah, I think the team overall, yeah, I think my team's pretty good, honestly. They did a really good job. Obviously, we had two great retains to begin with, but having ODR and SM on top of that, Quilly is just pretty good at SS. E-turn is
He's a
good at all.
tryhard. He's a
And
tryhard, really.
yeah, yeah, Quilly's a
yeah. Do
big
you
threat.
know some more about Quilly? Because that personally is not a name that is I don't think is household
I
in
I've
SS.
played Quilly twice last year in RUPL. I lost one, I won one. It's like one of the most hype opponents for me because while he may not like build like extensively, he always makes sure to scout and he plays very well in game. And I really like how he has the ability to translate his skill from tier to tier. And he's just a very good person, like generally.
Yeah, love to hear it. Um,
Yeah, nails this. I agree, like with every word that BluBird just said about Quilly. He's just a great player that translates his skills pretty well.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
I guess we've already kind of covered Scarlet Violet slots, and Sword Shield a little bit at this point. Metallica, well, okay, yeah. Circling back to Sword Shield, Metallica did walk away with a matchup this week though. I think an underrated player overall. He is a really big proponent in the Chinese community. I think in the Chinese RU community specifically. I know he
Yeah.
qualified for RULT this year, and in the Chinese RUPL equivalent, he's been putting up some big numbers, been a very active builder. So, I mean, I want to make sure to give Metallica his flowers too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's pretty
Absolutely.
good. It's
Metallica
pretty
is great.
good. Yeah,
He
he's
also
been
has like a
really
very.
go on.
I'm sorry.
No,
I
no.
just wanted. I just want to say that he has a very creative and innovative eye for what he wants to bring because every time I prep for him and I ask for like what he prep for me and what he make the team that he made, he always comes up with some weird like effective mons and cores that'll just so happen to do well. Like I've played him countless times in like tests and other tiers as well, and he always gets the match up on me. And it's just a really hard opponent to prep for, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, coming from BluBird, I think that is very high praise. Actually, I think that is very
Yeah,
high
yeah.
praise.
I
Okay,
was
cool.
gonna say, I was gonna say that Metallica. has been flying under the radar for like 3 years now, I
Yeah.
think. He's always been like in every RUPL and just going cheap and going slightly positive every time. So the cycle just comes back every time.
Absolutely.
It's
I
like,
mean, if you want someone like as a good builder, right? And I think that's where a lot of metas, like what he brings to the table, comes in the builder. I think that he is
I can't agree
one.
more.
Yeah, he's one of the more like creative minds. Like BluBird said, bringing fresh things to the table sometimes.
Especially in the
Is
tier that is like full of recycling, like SSRU. It's always
absolutely,
like like a breath of fresh air.
absolutely.
yeah.
All right, on to Sun Moon then. ODR versus Santu. Um,
Highlight matchup for sure.
yeah, I mean, I'll leave that to you then. Yeah.
Well, I guess if no one's talking, I'll just say something. This
Yeah.
game happened very early in the week. I think it happened like on Tuesday or something.
Yeah, actually,
They,
let me scroll down real quick because I do believe here we have like predictions from yes, Beraldo, and here it is, ODR. Like I posted predictions too, and that happened literally. This game happened as I was typing predictions, so
yeah,
you know, Tuesday, very early game,
yeah,
first
that
game of the
game
week.
because ODR was pretty busy, and I think he's not even playing. Like next this week, like in week 3, he's not playing. ODR obviously the best SM player if Ashna's not playing, and Santu is also great. So that was a pretty hype matchup. I was pretty sad to see like go very early. I'm glad we won, but it could have been like a very banger game if both prepped at least a bit.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think that's all I
I
have to
will
say.
say something about like kind of just the general culture behind RUPL. A lot of gaming just tends to happen on the weekends. That's just when people, are like free from work, just have a little more time, a little more flexibility to play. So, I did want this to kind of happen then, so there was a little more hype, more people could, kind of join in and watch the match. But I mean, it was still a great game overall. I didn't manage to catch this one live, I don't think, but yeah,
I think this one was the Porygon game, right? The Z conversion sub Porygon. That
Yeah,
was a
this
robbery.
sucks. Yeah,
We kind of robbed, but it's fine. We take those.
yeah, it was like a Flints from Yan Mega. That was the big one. The
Yeah, that
poison will
was the
happen
end.
eventually. Yeah.
We
I
kind
don't
of
think
tough.
robbed.
uh, I don't think that ODR played like badly around it or anything because it had like a very good matchup and he played his out. So unlucky, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, we take those. It's a
Absolutely. All
win.
right.
Just want to say that
Uh,
Santo is one of my personal favorite players alongside Puni because I really like their style, and every time I see them play, especially in RU, it's like an actual treat. So yeah,
Yeah, Sentu's great. Sentu's fantastic. He plays very well. He
yeah,
seems like always spot on. Feels very clean when he plays.
yeah, absolutely.
very cool. Uh, does anyone else have anything to say about Sun Moon? ODR Sansu?
I
All right,
think
cool.
I
that's
don't.
We're gonna move on then. Or ask Etern Dugza, another great matchup. Does anyone have any comments to open up about that?
yeah. Horus is one of these other gens, in my opinion, that just ends at preview. The game is pretty much decided right off the bat, and whoever has the better Venice or better Scrafty just wins.
Yeah. No,
I
again,
think
I
kind of
did
the
say.
opposite.
Oh
I
yeah,
feel
go
like
for it, Gum.
Avarice is like kind of like the gen that's like the less decided on preview. Because like the teams are like so similar. It's like I don't know. I feel like we can often like outplay bad matchups in Oras in a way like you can't always in like even like SM and Black and White. Because like the tier
Yeah.
is way bulkier.
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
the fact that
I'll.
they're very similar. Oh, yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say Oras. There's a lot of you. It's very kind of cyclical with how like meta flows. You'll have periods where like Reggie Mola is very popular, and you'll have periods where like Scrafty is like eating those Reggie Mola cores, and then periods where something else like Usurp Scrafty, and then Reggie comes back into favor, and a lot of cycles like that. And in that regard, I think being one in builder is kind of true. But
I
then also you
mean,
have a lot of homogeneity in the tier. Like you have a lot of Venusaur, a lot of Flygon, a lot of like Registeel, Drapion. So in that case, I think it's a good time for skill expression. But yeah, go on, go on.
I just wanted to say that if Black and White is decided like on preview, then Auras is more likely decided on the details, if that makes sense. Because the
Yeah,
teams might be
yeah.
like very similar, but the smallest detail, like a faster Venusaur, might just win you the game because of the mirror, or the better Scrafty set might just win the game on the spot, like we saw in Aphel's game.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I feel like just because like you have like these small differences, it kind of makes it easier to like outplay those small differences because you have so many of like the same tools and have
hmm
like
Yeah,
also
like
different
having
tools
a
of your own.
having a
Definitely, yeah.
faster Venusaur won't really get you that far typically. Like, because they're gonna have a counter to Venusaur when it's pretty much the god of the tier. And like something like the Scrappy set that Ifo had is pretty like that's like an exception really. Like that's kind of just a reminder of how Pokemon can be in terms of rewarding prep. And I think for the most part I agree with what Gum's saying. And when you have a tier where like four of the Mons are going to be like a mirror match, then the other two, like there's just not enough like nukes or really unique, really truly unique Pokemon that are to choose from that like will distinguish it to where it's like decided on preview. Like I think most recently in terms of trends, I think like Chinchino showed up a couple times. I thought that was kind of interesting in terms of something different. But even then, that's not enough to like swing a matchup in anyone's favor by a huge amount when there's like still a fucking Registeel you have to get past.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I was gonna
Like
say I agreed with BluBird. Like Promer said the same thing. This chain is like so similar to the point like every detail matters. The one with growth Venusaur versus like knockoff Venusaur, you probably end up uh, if you have like growth Venusaur versus knockoff Venusaur, and the
like
opponent's counter to Venusaur is probably like Registeel or I don't know,
I
Fly
mean,
in some
I mean
ends.
that's like the thing though, because when you have those minor differences with between the different Venusaur, like it's really the differences aren't like big enough to swing a matchup in your favor. That kind of just affects how you do the Venusaur trades in the game itself, and that
yeah,
kind of
it's
just
sequencing, right?
ties back to how Oras is more long game oriented,
Sure.
where these different tweaks they only really help you so far in the builder, and you'll have to be able to make those aggressive plays in order to actually make progress.
Would you say this is coming from a spectator's like point of view, obviously, so take it with a grain of salt. But would you say it's more like correct sequencing in these mirrors, like similar to RBY, or is it like a more dynamic thing? When you face like a team with four mons that are like the same, like in a close to mirror match,
I think
is it
it's a
more like
bit
more
more
like
dynamic.
set out sequences that will get you the win?
I think it's with the different tweaks you can have in OSRU, at least in my mind, it's a bit more dynamic. Like when I'm playing Gen 1 OU, there's like very specific, like the sequencing is like very specific, where like people, like literally when prepping Gen 1 OU, you'll have in prep mapping out what your opponent usually does and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah. That's my
But
question. Like,
but I think it's a bit more comparable to like ORAS UU, where oftentimes they'll be forced into specific sequencing. And like a decent example, I think, is when like PDT and UUPL was like thrown into ORAS UU. I think he got kind of punished because it doesn't really like a tier like that. It just doesn't reward being mindlessly aggressive as much. And you need to play the long game, but you also need the patience to properly scout out and weigh these things in a way that you can't always get away with when comparing to something like Gen 1 OU, because with Gen 1 OU, the options are like limited to so much of a further extent.
yeah, it's
It's
obviously
honestly
like
kind of hard to
an
describe
over
without like actually playing it.
an over exaggerated point. Like I get it. I just wanted
Well said.
to
Okay.
have the question. Yeah.
Gonna rein things back in a little bit, though. We've gotten off on a bit of a tangent. And we do have
Yeah.
some more matches to talk about. But that was Oras, U-turn Dugsa. Um, Does anyone have anything else to say about that match specifically?
I think we said like very much.
All right, cool.
Nice.
Yeah, appreciate the ORAS discourse. It's always interesting here, especially about an old gen. Glad to see that
Yeah, exactly.
still discussion being able to be stirred up. But Black White, Blazing Dark versus Guile, Gilly, I don't know, however you want to pronounce the name.
I
I
think
call him Guile. I call him Guile.
yeah,
Guile, yeah, another Black White gaming moment. I don't understand the tier.
yeah, neither do I. So I'm just gonna move on.
It was like a really funny game though, because in the fucking Cold Mind Mola, I was like, I don't know.
It
Oh,
was
this
really
was
Like
the
the
fun.
Calm
fact
Mind
that
Mola
it
game.
was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it was like an insane game.
At
But I
first, it's
think
so like I thought that at first I thought that Blazing Dark had like a big advantage. Then Calm Mind Mola was like a problem, and then Mola was getting past, so I thought that Blazing Dark was again like having the front foot. And then Drift Blame happened, and yeah, that's it.
Oh,
It was like
right.
this was the
surprise
sub
after
Driftlim
surprise.
game. Yes.
Yeah, this was an awesome wall. It's like a very good nail biter. Every other
Yeah.
turn, you were like, oh no,
You know,
oh no, not
I
this
I
guy. Yeah,
think this is we're gonna look through some of these replays too, and I think Blazing Dark Gilly is I think this is the black white replay that we'll check out. So we can look at this more in depth later. But yeah, that was a great replay. It was a great replay.
yeah.
But yeah, moving on then. We have best of three, Franklin versus Beraldo. Also, apologies to the Hustlers. Yeah, I meant to mention this earlier, but Beraldo is the current manager for the defending RUPL champions. So they're looking to go back to back this year. Um, and yeah, I mean, they tied the week. I think, did they tie last week too? Or
No, they lost.
they lost? Okay. So, not the hottest start for the defending champs, but they're champions for a reason. So, always to be watched out for. But back on topic, Franklin versus Beraldo, what did you think about the set?
I think it was
It
like
was like the fat Volcanian one.
yeah, that was the Volcanion
Yeah, okay.
Terra Ghost.
There it goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just killing everything. It was
That
pretty much
was
a
like a
side on
good
matchup,
game. Yeah.
kind of. Like the SV game was a side on matchup alone. The SS game was
The
I
SS
don't
game
remember.
was very interesting and pretty worn down. Like I've tested with Beraldo before he played, and I was really caught like off guard with the Reunion set. But uh, it wasn't enough, sadly or not, because they were both like very well thought out teams from both sides. But I think that overall, Franklin did Franklin things, and Crobat was more annoying than I would think it would be. So yeah,
Oh,
it came
yes.
down to the better Reuniclus, I guess.
I do remember this. Yes, this was an encore Reuniclus. That's what
Yeah.
Franklin
It was
brought.
actually
Uh,
quite fast as well.
yeah, it was fast enough to outpace. I really doubt it was a speed tie between the two Reunicluses.
Nah, yeah.
So, but like Franklin, every time I remember Geraldo would try to get some momentum going, start CMing. Franklin would just kind of toss in his Reuniclus, and then obviously threaten the encore, force a switch, that type of thing. But yeah, I mean Franklin, he's continuing his show of kind of dominance within RU, Scarlet Violet, lower past gens. He's just showing that he's quite capable, kind of
Yeah,
across the board still.
one of the best all rounders we have.
Hmm.
Both are in fact.
Yeah, cool. All right. Does anyone else have any comment on, kind of Franklin Geraldo, but also technicians, hustlers as a whole?
Yeah, I think we covered everything.
All right, cool. In that case, we can move on. Next, we have Iron Fisters. It's my team versus the Crunchwrap Supreme Overlord Juniors. Best name in the tournament, notwithstanding
Yeah.
anybody. uh, and yeah, Avarice, how about you kind of like walk us through a little bit about how y'all approached this week? And yeah, kind of what the expectations were.
I haven't been super involved outside of my own channels, but I think one of our main goals this week, just from speaking with Mence and Spalso a bit, was really fixing things in SV after how we did week one. and they were pretty motivated to have a stronger time. And I think it overall what proved to be like worthwhile since we ended up going 2-1, which is a pretty nice improvement from last week. And as far as the old gens go, I know SS has been a bit difficult since I don't think many of us are very were involved when it was current gen for RU at least. And as far as the other gens go, I think we're actually 6-2, or actually, I mean, sorry, 6-0 between Black White, ORS, and SM. So hopefully we continue that for this week. And
Very strong
for
core.
best of 3, I think it was. I think that was also kind of a hard time picking for SS. So I think once we get a better grip on that, as long as we continue the improvement we've had in SB, we should be able to do well. And I think currently we're like tied for first or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, these 2 weeks have been, well, week one, I will say this, every team again tied except for uh,
Payloader.
payloaders,
Payloaders.
yeah,
Yes,
payloaders
yes.
and hustlers. Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's still very early in the tournament, but
yeah,
I
very
like
early.
where we're heading.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I will say this too, just briefly touching upon some of the, because, my team is the other side of this matchup, but we are, quite confident in our Scarlet Violet core. Master Chief coming off a W from RULT, the latter tour. Um, One of the stronger names. I think he was PR #1 for Scarlet Violet. Uh, but yeah, he's just a strong player overall. Llama's coming back from a bit of a hiatus, but we're supporting him. Myself, Master Chief, Cyan, who is also quite involved with Scarlet Violet. So
I
we
love
have a
Cyan.
pretty, yeah, we have a very, I think, pretty good Scarlet Violet core. Ryan Sensei Axu obviously is a very capable player. And backed by like tons of tour results. So he's been performing like fantastically. Really, you can't say anything about like what he's been doing wrong. He's just been very strong. Um, but yeah, I think we were definitely a little over prepared for stall. HJK has a bit of uh, a
Yeah,
streak, let's say,
her,
with stall
her
in Scarlet
reputation.
Violet. Yeah, so an inclination. Yeah, so we were definitely kind of teaming that a little bit, and it worked, it didn't work, things happen. No, obviously, no stall was brought versus us this week, so I guess we were a little bit concerned for nothing. Um, I want to give a special shout out to actually to Kush, the chef. He always is one of the forerunners of pushing innovation in the gen, and we kind of saw that this week. Defog Conkeldurr raised some eyebrows. There were some other things too, but Defog Conkeldurr is the one in my mind that was like, okay, you don't really see this a lot. Um, but yeah, overall, just like tough week for us. Master Chief won Scarlet Violet, but overall, we were in the one half of the 2-1. So yeah, BluBird, Dunox, Fogbound Lake. Do you have any comment about that?
Uh, yeah, I want to say I helped Danux not just prep, like I didn't help him immensely prep, but we did test, and Danux like one of my like best friends in the community, and we get along very well. It was like a very very good game, like in terms of positioning and team brings. It's actually a very hype game, and I say that Fog, even though he lost, had like a very good like in game this week, and it came real down to the wire. Like it was a very enjoyable game, pretty longer and had like some good win cons. Both people had like good win cons. Fog's
Yeah,
Cavalier was like very threatening, and Incineroar too. But I think overall, Danos just stayed calm in the end, and so the win path.
yeah,
And he did that. Props to both
great stuff.
players too. And
Great
it's
stuff.
gonna be a banger this week. I'm just gonna let you know. I'm playing Danox, and we know each other inside and out, and I've already fired some warning shots to him. So hopefully, it's gonna be a good game.
Yeah, expectations are high. You've gassed it up. Everyone's, that for me at least personally, that's one of the games I have. Well, I don't think y'all have scheduled yet, but It's something that will be like pinned on my calendar. I will, try to
Nice.
watch that live if possible. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, any other comments about Scarlet Violet or Sword Shield Gaming?
Um, is Master Chief versus Helm the game where Deoxys defense was brought?
I think so. Yeah, Master
Yeah,
Chief.
so
I
never.
remember.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Avarice, can you please tell your guys to never do that again? That one is ass. That's probably why Helm lost, honestly.
I
That's the only
remember
comp.
that game specifically. Master Chief had a Crocodile versus it was either Dark Resistless or like Dark Resist
The dark
Hovalion or something.
resist
It
It
was
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 Dark
dark.
Resistless.
Okie Dogi. Yeah, Okie Dogi is the dark resist. So.
Yeah, so Ground Weak Dark was Dark Resist, and Crocodile came in, clicked Crocodile buttons, and yeah,
Yeah.
tough matchup for sure. But
Yeah.
moving on from that, we have Sun Moon, Cyan versus Denial. Cyan was looking forward to this game a lot. Denial is a recent rename from
Lunala, I think.
Lunala, yes. So someone who's been around the community, I think, was playing Sun Moon during current gen. So Cyan was definitely looking forward to that, and I think it was a pretty good game. I thought it was a pretty good game. Um,
I did not know who to root for because they both played on an out and they had like a very cyanized and denial out, if that makes sense.
mhm.
So I was like watching watching the game and I was like, yeah, go Cyan. Oh no, that's denial, never mind. And I like both players and I think they had like a very good ceiling and high ceiling when it comes to SM. And I've worked with Cyan before in SM and in SV in the past RUPL, and I'm very like excited to watch their games every week because I know they had like a very good building perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's that one of the most active people in our court when it comes to building across
Yeah.
really a lot of the Gen Sun Moon, Scarlet Violet specifically. Yeah. But
Mm,
okay. Um, yeah. Any more comments about Sun Moon?
I think that was a great game. Like overall, the rest of Blastoise from Denial was pretty good, really
Hmm.
interesting. And the fact that I don't know, they managed to get um the rocks and spikes up versus Satu was pretty impressive, and that's what made them win at the end of the day, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the big and this carries over from Oras too. We can kind of talk about that too, Avarice, but just Zatu being present in both these tiers and trying to navigate, predicting the Zatu switches, getting hazards, very impressive stuff overall. You have to give Denial the props.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, Avarice, this is your game next. If you want to kind of give some insight about it specifically, yeah.
So I didn't really do much like prep work per se for this one. I kind of just looked at his game last week and figured he would bring something a bit more standard because I thought his team was very like it looked more fitting for like SMNU than ORSRU last or week one. So I kind of just decided to roll with what I thought would be solid, which would just be basic Scrafty, Dragon Dance, and Venusaur doing Venusaur things. And it was a pretty close game. I ended up having a bit more of a. It's not very exciting, but like my more unique choice that game was the Banded Flygon instead of Scarf, and like having Swords Dance on Trapeon or something. And it paid off in terms of being able to snipe that Diancie later in the middle of the game. So yeah, it was a close game overall. He definitely could have gotten me with the Chinchino. I thought that was a pretty cool pick,
Hmm.
even if it didn't totally pay off.
All right, cool. Anyone else on the Oras gaming? We talked a lot about this in the last section, so
Yeah.
all right, cool. Phoenix Ninja Dog, Black White Gaming. Um, Comments. Again, I don't. It's Black White.
Um, I don't know, that game was just, I think Phoenix brought rain and just, the matchup wasn't good and he just lost. It was not like
Yeah.
super interesting, but just like, I don't know, like classic Ho has a bad matchup and loses.
Hmm.
And Incident brought 8-0, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's unfortunate. We were really kind of excited for the rain bring. We didn't think that Ninja Talk would bring that team, but yeah, it happens. It happens. Um, but yeah, we'll just move in right on then. Best of three Sensei Axu. I've already sung his praises, men's meet. We've already also kind of talked about this. I thought it was funny, Sword Shield Gaming. Um, I didn't know how that game would turn out. I didn't really think it would end with a Poltegeist sweep, but it did end with a Poltegeist sweep. So that was funny.
It's one of
I
those
think
monsters
Mans
you
just
can't
lost in
prep for
preview.
enough, in my opinion.
Yep.
Like he was going to lose to like Shark or Teapot at some point.
Hmm.
Like honestly speaking, prepping for 8-0 in this tier is much harder than it might seem because the tier is like limited enough as it is, right? There's so many broken monsters running rampant everywhere. Having the ghost assist that will take care of all the guys as well and not give it free setup and all of that is just not so easy. At least not as easy as you might think. And I fell victim to this teapot like multiple times. So props to Sensei Action for the ring. It was a pretty cool day. So
Yeah, for sure. All right.
I
Any
want to give a
more?
prop. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, I was gonna say I was gonna give some props to MNCMT for the SV Bring. I don't know if he built it, but that team was very, very interesting. I think
I doubt
the
Mans builds anything.
it was the Suicune plus Cresselia plus
Yeah,
the CM Pheasantipity. That was very
like I'm
great.
pretty sure he just gets past stuff.
Oh yeah, okay. So he didn't build that, but that team was very interesting. I love the Suicune Bring into Sensei. He's the kind of
I
player
think it
that
might have
just
been an LBN team, but I'm not sure.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
very well could be. I know this team specifically, Crunchwrap Supreme Overlord Juniors. They have a lot of kind of quote unquote like super hot fire builders. I mean, HJK is someone who, while known for stall, has his own very strong building repertoire. Made a pretty substantial run in RULT. Kush, obviously known as being kind of a fire builder. Some of their bench players too. I know Flamingo Pokemon is someone that I am quite close with in the community. He's also not a stranger to bringing kind of interesting stuff. So they have a colorful roster in terms of builders. That team is certainly something that did not surprise me. I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. This makes sense.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Any other comments about anyone on the Iron Fisters versus Supreme Overlord Juniors?
Hmm. Nope.
All right,
I don't
cool.
think so.
In that case, we'll hop right into the last recap thing for week 2. Then we'll look at some games, and then hopefully look at some of the week 3 matchups. Because week 3, actually, a couple big things have shifted, I think, from some of the teams. That'll be interesting to look at. But Payloaders, Guardians, Gum, congrats. This is a bona
Astonishing.
fide
Thank you.
routing. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like only one person in that team like holding the fort. So
Yeah.
now, in all seriousness, first of all, congrats. It was like a very good showing from Guardians. But just want to say that 1-7 is probably not representative of the. I won't talk anything about RNG and everything, but I will say from the effort the my team put because the SV while being 03 this week they put like tons of hours, like it's scrapped tons of builds to come up something good. Like they're really pushing their limits, in my opinion, in terms of how many teams they're gonna bring every single week. And especially shout outs to Stagler and Tsuki because they're like and both of course the main engines, like always like spitballing and talking about new teams and ideas and all of that. Danny also knows lots either because he's also doubling up like almost every tier. And yeah, I just think that a good effort is gonna pay off eventually because I've seen these people like really try hard, and I think it's eventually gonna be implemented in the results as well. Danny's game was like pretty close. I think it came down to a last turn crit or something.
Yeah,
I
that was pretty unlucky. It was also like
Yeah,
toxic chain procs and or something.
yeah, it was like the last turn. Like Danny wanted to avoid crit from either U-turn or close combat, and he got crit with U-turn, I think,
Yeah,
from
that
Bishop. Was pretty unlucky. Boof's game was it was something. I don't think Boof played bad or anything, but it just went sour like quite quickly, and he knows as well, and he's actually more motivated, I believe, to just bounce back. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch Lenny's game in like extensively, but I did saw the teams that we brought and Ariana Grande brought. It was a pretty cool showing from Lenny, and I think that he's definitely gonna be successful in future weeks. And DK is also helping with the preliminary channel. Even though I hate that guy, he's actually pretty good as a captain. So yeah, Hardu has like a million lines in his channel, and it was an unlucky matchup bring versus Gondra. Gondra played well. The same applies to Saitanya. I believe they had like a pretty rough matchup, and DK got black white, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I want to
just
talk
want to
So
about
say
my game.
do you
Yeah.
want to like inform on the other side of this, like from the, the Guardians
But yeah, I
point of
was
view?
going to, yeah. I don't know. As far as V goes, I don't think like we were like too worried because, um, I don't know. I think it's like one of our strong slots because like we have a lot of builders. Even like if we don't have any people that like actually play RU, we still have like a lot of people who build a lot. And it's like to the point where like I don't even have to pass teams to people, which I was like kind of expecting and I have to do at some point. But yeah, so far like we kind of just been using whatever in SV. I think like going to this week, we wanted to focus on our old gens mainly. Like I think Avarice and Black and White especially because like we don't really have anyone that plays those two tiers. I think in SS we got like punished super heavily for like because like attribute often like brings super fat slow stuff. I like the as the Rhyperior bring. I thought it was a good one because like it kind of just farmed most of the stuff it usually brings. I don't know what the fuck happened in SM. I don't like that gen. Russ was like, I did not know what our team was, but like it worked. So I'm just going to trust Piyush from now on. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but yeah. Black and White, that was like the only team I built because like I was like I looked at his scout and I thought Common Clef looked super good, and the team ended up like working well. I think we kind of just won Black and White on preview, unless like we got like super unlucky, and that's kind of it. Like I don't know, Penny kind of just does his own thing and wins.
Yeah, same with Star. Like the best of three slot is like a wildfire, if that makes sense. Like one week you're shown, some effort, something, but the next week you're like, okay, because I was talking to Star and we kept like tagging him to let him know that we want to know if there's like a time scheduled for anything, and he's like, okay, guys, chill. Kuni and I have played like plenty of times, just probably gonna play Sunday night, and we're like, oh, okay, cool. And we just know to trust Star, to be honest. It didn't work out this week, but I'm very fairly confident that he'll definitely like bounce back.
Yeah, just I don't want to like interrupt when like he's doing his own thing because like it works. So
Yeah.
it's gonna just I don't know the funny experience.
The punny
Yeah,
experience.
I think we got like a bit lucky. I think we should have won 5-3, but like yeah, that's the game I guess.
Yeah,
I'll take it
it's a game
still.
of play for sure.
All right, cool. I mean, I thank you for the input from both sides, BluBird and Gum. Does anyone else have any comments to make, kind of just overall? Because otherwise, I don't know. I feel like this was pretty well covered. I
Yeah,
think.
I have something to say about the SM game because Bertha is one of my friends, and he told me about his call early in the week, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to use Alone Raichu
Yeah, and he got
because
unlucky because did he tell you about the move slot change?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he
those are
did.
like reinforced. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of his fault. He brought fucking Alone Raichu to the game. Like, I told him prior to the week, every time he gets lost in the builder and just brings Piyumon, he's gonna end up losing.
No, yeah, I get that. To be honest, I also fall victim to that. But it was like pretty
But they
unlucky
can
because
win.
we had
Yeah,
a Alolan Raichu like NP with protect for the last pod, and then they brought Rhyperior, and we had Grass Knot originally. So when we saw Ripe, we were like, oh fuck, yeah,
yeah, well, just like
good
it's
stuff.
all. I always tell him that because he's just trying to bring whack shit to SM, and he loves doing that.
Yeah,
Rocks Servines, Clefairy.
I love his approach, and I love his like enthusiasm on the builder because
He's so enthusiastic, but sometimes he goes too far, and I just know whenever he tells me something that it's not gonna work or it's gonna work. And this time I told him like day one, if you're being the lonely right, you're gonna lose. He didn't trust me, and it happened.
oh man.
That
I
was
mean,
the
to be
only.
fair, the week was like already over at that point.
Yeah, it was, but he was gonna bring it anyway. End of the
But
day.
I think that he has like a different kind of confidence when he uses his own ideas and all of that because it worked out like very well in week one.
Yeah,
So I think we just gotta let him cook. If I'm
yeah,
being honest.
yeah. He plays for the fun of it. So if you don't let him cook, he's
Yeah.
just gonna be pissed and start losing a lot. But usually with him, you can tell like from day one if he's gonna win or lose based on what he's gonna bring. So yeah, I just watch out for that. And
Cool.
yeah, that's it. That's what I have to say.
All right. Any other closing comments?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. So yeah, again, just like brief run through: Bombers 3, Toxic Chains 5, Toxic Chains 1, tied between Technicians and Hustlers. Crunchtrap Supreme 1, 5-3 versus Fisters, and then obviously finally Noble Guardians 1-7-1 over Payloaders. So in terms of standings, I think at this point, Noble Guardians are in first, I believe, right? Because they have a
Yeah,
W now and then also a tie. Um,
yeah,
I think Toxic Chains are also in first with them. They tied last week as well and came out with a W. And
yeah,
then
but
everyone else is kind of in the mix between the 1-1 or a loss and a win.
And a tie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like the Guardians is front running because they won more games, then it's tied between the
Yeah, we
juniors.
have a better BD.
Yeah,
Yes.
BD.
I think last is between Hustlers and Pistons. I don't
Hmm.
know which.
Yeah, no,
Um,
we're tied because we tied week one. Hustlers, I think, lost week one. They tied week two. So we're both sitting at 1 point right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Here. Yeah. Okay, cool. So now we've kind of looked at these matchups, but we do have a couple of these games that I brought up. At least it's one, I think, for each of Black, White, or Ash Sun, Moon, Sword, Shield, and then two Scarlet Violet, because there are just so many Scarlet Violet games. But yeah, we don't have to look at these super in depth, but taking a peek at them would be cool. So the first off is the Guile versus Blazing Dark.
It's the game.
Black white game. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the game. So I think a lot of this game, and yeah, we can kind of just talk about this too while it's happening. But um, a lot of black white things, even off the bat, you see you have Glare turn one para. Uh, you have your Druddigon mirror match. Superior
Yeah,
definitely not something you see very often.
I thought those
That's
Quillfish turns were funny because like he went for the
yes,
flinch first time, and like he switched it out anyway. I was like,
yeah,
oh
absolutely.
okay, finally like I might need Quillfish after all.
It's like best to not push my luck even further. Like
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's like one of those plays that like piss me off when it
I think
happens because it's like
it was I'm sorry.
I know it's fine, just like I don't know because he just like decided he needed it after risking it for no reason and just like getting bailed.
I think it was more so a show of like dominance. Like I can do
Oh,
this if I want,
the roar.
but I
Wait,
choose
hold on. I
not
do
to.
want to highlight that. The
I
roar
think
on
it
the
was
sub that turn
rocks.
was
I
very.
honestly think it was rocks.
I don't know if Guile didn't expect roar. I feel like that's pretty, you know, common on Steelix.
Yeah, standard.
I believe it is,
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel like maybe a Leaf Storm there could have been better, or if he's like hidden power last move, Giga Drain.
It was
Um,
Leaf Blade, so
It was
like
Leaf
Leaf.
it was
Blade,
going to
yeah.
be
Oh,
like
Leaf Blade. Right. We
13%.
do see that later in the
And
battle.
he created he did 21, I think, those leagues. So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that game like didn't have much going on before the Mola just clicked Calm Mind.
Yeah, the
I
Mola
like
clicking Calm Mind, and then the ending.
yeah,
Oh, this was not the drift.
I,
Or yeah, this is
I
the
was
drift one.
surprised. I was surprised that he didn't pass the ways to Pilot Shrine, and
Yes,
instead he
and
went for Serp.
I also get why he didn't do it, because like otherwise like the pillow could have just like died. I feel like that wasn't
Yeah,
like the end of the world, because then you can just like bring in Serp in for free.
True, and I think this is where here we see Leaf Blade crit did 21, so
big damage. Yeah,
big damage. The Steelix is getting whittled though, which is important later on for Durant and Driftblim, as we'll see that pan out. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, kind of a slow game. It is what it kind of shitty
big
Draco
big.
miss. Calm
Yeah.
mind.
The minute the Calm Mind is clicked, I can feel like Blazing Dark's like getting just a little bit sweaty, you know.
Hmm.
yeah. Sure.
I didn't get why he went Quillfish first, because like
I think
Seth
he
probably
just
would have
wanted
just
to
like
get up all
killed
his
it.
hazards. I don't.
I think he won
I
Isaac.
mean, Mola does do in fact like negative damage, like 22 plus 2 is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, he can T wave, he can pain split. Mola has a ton of HP, so those pain splits are taking him like basically all the way back to full.
Yeah. And going
Yeah.
hard set was quite risky,
Yeah,
as well as
especially
negative
since he's
rock slide.
physical. He shows the rock slide there, then he
Yeah,
gets crit burned. Like,
he was
I
winning.
didn't get that. Like,
That
this
site
was
was
funny
like
though. The Leaf Storm, Leaf Storm doing 87 into full para.
black.
So,
That was quite unfortunate, honestly.
oh yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
But
Because that
it is
Mola
the game
would
we play. It is the game we play, in fact.
yes, and then the superior
Glare
glare on
missing.
top of that, just yeah.
Glare missing is not something I will ever get used to, if I'm being
Mhm.
honest.
It's what 90
Mm,
accuracy this gen.
75%, I believe.
25, yeah.
Big overgrow lift blade doing 50%.
I thought it was
I
8.
also have no idea why BD didn't click Gyro at any point during that trade. He just like
Mhm.
let himself take damage for no reason, despite GST not having any CR resist.
Right, and then we see that there, and
And then he just goes like that sequence didn't make any sense to me.
yeah, Super Power Miss Classic Durant Gaming. Not like it would have done
No.
like a ton to Quillfish, but
I think superpower missing was better for
Yeah, it was better for Gia
yeah.
for sure. It was kind of unfortunate on our end.
mhm.
Damn, Quillfish like snacks everything this game.
Oh, crit
And
there
then it
too.
didn't matter.
Quillfish is definitely the MVP of this game.
Yeah, but now you have
And
now the game is
that's
over.
that's all, folks. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all. You have Drift Blim, you have Calm Mind, and
It
then
shouldn't have
one
been
more
over because
sub.
we got parried on the sub, I
Was it
think.
like the path to go hard is Steelix?
Oh, it's Aurora. Yeah, that could have been good if you saw the
Yeah, you
Calm
can
Mind like
spam
set up. So
waterfall there. Just always spam waterfall.
yeah,
And then you go Dread and try to revenge kill with Sucker
this
Punch.
was a great sequence too because Blazing Dark had the sucker. He read the first substitute, but he got the full para, and then it just didn't matter. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean at this
Yeah.
point you just shadow ball, shadow ball, shadow ball. Oh, I'm sorry. Arrow also missed
Oh man.
missed
Yeah.
Stone Edge on turn 47.
But I think
That's so nice for
I was
advantage.
playing with Isaac.
94, I'm sorry.
Willowspine was dead actually to hazards.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, 36.
Dredagon though,
I think we were life orb, so that one didn't matter.
Yeah,
I
it
think
didn't matter.
a roller coaster of emotions. This game.
But I think this is really just very quintessential Blacklight gaming. You saw a lot of how the paralysis on like Superior came into play, paralysis on Mola came into
Yeah.
play. You had your like
I think
misses
that
with
I think that everyone has the right to complain about RNG besides the viewers. Like everyone except for the viewers, like very irritated at this game.
yes, very true. Okay, but yeah, we're gonna move on. This is, I believe, the Gen 6, the Piyush Chait game. So
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this
That's a
game
very
is very well. First of all, there's no Scrafty on Chait's team, and there is a Scrafty on Piyush's team. So, and we just went over it, so that informs you who wins. But
an
yeah, I
indicator of
just
what's
thought,
to come. Yeah.
yeah, I thought this was a really cool game too. We'll see how it ends too, but Barbarical gets to come in and do some very fun stuff. You see Thunderbolt, Registeel right there, kind of neat. Just going. I'm also gonna put these in like fast speed, just so we move through them a little faster. But yeah, I mean,
Yes.
the Arrow kind of loses that lead matchup to the Registeel, which is funny. Um, Gallade versus Gallade gaming, which is
This was
interesting. I
also
don't.
very, very fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you
The scout.
see the trick scarf into knockoff, which Scrappy is in now. Scrappy can start doing Scrappy things.
And then yeah, you're like, oh boy, here we go again. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we leech seeds and spam synthesis.
And we
Great
have
game.
the infamous Venu mirrors. Also, did we see? See, we don't see leftovers from Venusaur 2. So
No,
I
it got
don't. Do we?
they got knocked off, I think.
No, that's
Now,
Chate's Venu. Chate's
Oh,
Venu got
this
knocked
is
off.
new. Oh,
I don't
okay.
know if we figure out what Piyush's Venu is, but it's not leftovers. A resist berry possibly,
It
but
was Yachi Berry. I think the
oh,
Gallade
Yachi.
knocked it.
Oh, right here. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was for Sneasel, like clearly. I don't know.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it is.
Well, it would have worked if Cecil had come out on Venusaur. Um, but yeah, Magneton is in now, doing big damage, but can't stay in.
I think the side is like playing at the most that he can.
Yeah.
Because they have we have to be like very careful with the logs on the now Scarf Gallade.
hmm Yeah, because every time you knock off, that's just an opportunity for Scrappy to come in. Venu's already
And
been knocked, but yeah, now the game ends here. By the way, now that Barbarical is in, you see Shell Smash and
the money maker. Yeah.
It's over.
the Money Maker Aerial Ace, and that's it. That's the only move he clicks. No Water Stab
Yeah, that
needed.
was really fun.
No Rock Stab needed. Aerial Ace, Aerial Ace, Aerial Ace.
It's fire.
Yeah. I mean, just
We
an
don't
interesting
miss.
replay for sure. You saw kind of Scrappy put in a little work getting that Venu knocked, kind of getting it chipped a little bit in Aerial Ace range from Barbarical. And then, yeah, that just kind of opened the door. Barbarical came in and swept them away.
Good game.
Good game indeed.
All right, next up, we have this is the crossbow. I'm also going to put this in fast because this is quite a long game. I don't really think there's a lot. I actually might just put this in very fast.
Not much happens in this game.
Yeah, it's really just a lot of positioning. Like it's a lot of Fortress staring at Noivern, a lot of Noivern staring at like Milotic at Rhyperior. Oh, I will mention this too, but this Rhyperior is blind. He clicked Stone Edge like 4 or 5 times and hit one of them versus Delmise.
Jesus. Yeah, there you go. Hey, he crit, so can't be too much,
Yeah,
right?
you
I
trade the one
guess.
crit for like 4 hits. I don't know. But yeah, just a lot of positioning. I think good stuff from Crossbow not being overly. Oh, this was cool. The Recycle Snorlax. It's Curse Recycle, I think.
Yeah, that was cool. Oh,
But yeah, I mean, Noivern got itself toxic. Just positioning, positioning, positioning. At some point, here it is. Machamp comes in. This is banded Machamp, so
That was a very good pivot on the knockoff on Virizion, and then double up
yeah.
is that
yeah.
very well played.
Unfortunate para. I don't remember. Does Snorlax win this interaction here? I don't remember. I think it's
Should.
close.
Yeah, it should win
Yeah.
the interaction.
and then Rhyperior body slam. Another,
Oh
you know,
man, oh man,
edge miss into
that's tough.
Earthquake.
Yeah.
That was a huge miss too.
Well,
So that's Rhyperior gun. This is flying resist on. My loading's at 74. The Noivern was Z. We do see that later in the game.
oh, tough part as well.
But yeah, now Zatu's at 1-2, so hard to keep hazards off. Eventually, you'll kind of get your rocks up, you'll spin the spikes away, and yeah, overall, a very long game, but I think well played from Crossbow and a great win for his team.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, something I noticed this week: no megas from either side, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't feel like you see that very often anymore.
Well, outside of Mega Blastoise, the Megas are kind of ass in RU.
Mega
I
Blastoise,
like
Mega Sceptile, both of those. Mega Glalie too. I mean,
Even
they're
Mega Sceptile.
I like my Abomasnow gaming personally.
Obama Snow Gaming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now Machamp is in banded close combat.
Jesus Christ, that
A lot
was
of
nuts.
This was kind of
60
scary,
seconds.
but this is great switching to Delmise on the Z fight. Just yeah, and then Delmise 1v1s the Verzion, and
getting
everything
so
else kind of falls down in short order.
yeah, that's
Or
game.
Verzion 1v1s, and then you Z fly and
Coordinator hazard for the
Yeah,
next.
the hazard for the next game. I
yeah,
love it too.
yeah. We can kind of finish this out. Reggie Steele comes in, does stuff, but yeah, just 81 turns of good positioning. Not getting too overly aggressive, and yeah, kind of waiting it out.
Yeah.
On to this is a great one. BluBird, if you want to just kind of talk us through this one.
Uh, I hate prepping for attribute. I'm not gonna lie, because we've played twice so far. One time I won versus him with Tease, and the next time we played, he owned me with Tease. So going into it, it was like a pretty scary matchup. But I knew I won. Like I had a plan in mind, and I was like very careful to not get lost in the sauce with this one.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I mean, looking at lead matchup, right? So, I think we can actually just hop right into this. We have a
yeah,
Scyther lead looking at Gastrodon. So what are you thinking here? Why did you lead Scyther? What did you think he was going to
because
do?
the first thing I wanted to know is that I was like fairly sure that this was a recycled team from Pune. But I wanted to know. I led Scyther because it has like a decent matchup versus pretty much everything. I have a heal build, Togekiss in the back, so I can trade and knock off on Red Steel for like Thunderwave or anything. And I also wanted to not be on the back foot versus Indeedee right off the bat because my Metagross is not leftover, so I want to be careful around that. And Scyther basically lets me like scout the sets of any lead he has. Like if he leads Gastro, I can just U-turn and see immediately if he's Rocky Helmet or not, which is gonna be important for my Metagross and my Scyther. If he's Rocky Helmet Reuniclus as well, he can stay in and like recover on the U-turn or something. It's just it's a lead that lets me like gather more information in uh in the game.
Well, we'll just have this like play, and you can kind of just talk about
Yeah,
anything you
yeah.
think is important. But
So, Vileplume, admittedly, my team wasn't great in the Gastrodon, as you can see, because he played very well around the Vileplume because he risked the grass move once, and I was like, he's gonna stay in because I didn't want to risk it. So he goes out to Reuniclus on the Vileplume pretty free, sorry. But yeah, I wanted to keep rocks up so that I can always pressure Red Steel even more because Togekiss is one of my win cons. And
big
I
hammer
also
on this.
wanted, yeah, that was pretty annoying because it's his only flying resist. And here I Meteor Mass because I was expecting the Reuniclus to come in on the Hammer Arm and just knife it away if it was a Rocky Helmet. But yeah, my priority here is to Toxic the Gastrodon because that's one of the things that I want for my rep here to just start getting some progress made. So yeah, Togekiss is in. Togekiss cannot force any damage on this red steel for now. So I'm just trying to push my advantage with Rhyperior.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was very kind of surprised he let the Registeel go this easily, especially with Togekiss
To
and
be to
Scyther in the
be
back. But
to be honest, he doesn't have like great Rhyperior matchup, so I kind
that's
of
true.
get it, but at the same time, well, yeah, there's just not so much left to do. Uh, one thing I want to notice is that Scyther is like a very cool bring because it just forces progress so easily versus most teams. Like knocking off the steel types for Togekiss is just immense. Here I am down for not earthquaking twice, but I got like a pretty low roll on the first earthquake. Thankfully I didn't
Yeah.
get punished. But yeah, after Gastrodon is down, it's all about resource management. And this Crobat just flat out counters my Metagross for some reason. So yeah, not fun. The same thing can be said to Reuniclus. So yeah,
Yeah,
not a
we
great
actually
loss.
while watching this game, I think one of the things I was worried about was the potential of Scarfandidi being threatening with Metagross gone. I mean, Rhyperior
One,
has been adequately chipped. Togekiss has a little
yeah,
bit of chip. Rhyhorn's been chipped. I don't know if Scyther lived through
one.
full, but yeah, I mean, I thought that was just
I
something.
was gonna touch I was gonna touch on that because it was discussed a bit, but
Yeah, go
I
for it.
have bulk on my Scyther, and while calking at the start of the game, I realized that I live both expanding force from Scarf and Lily and +1 knockoff from Scrafty, even if it's adamant, from full. So I knew that at the top of my head, I needed to have my Scyther like at max HP. Boots helps a lot with that regard. So yeah, it wasn't like intentionally viewed to leave these two hits, but it was just a good like bonus. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know that I live here even because he's adamant, but it's not like if it's not like a head smash or ice punch or some shit, I'm like on the clear. Yeah, as you can see, the expanding force, I knock off, and that is the game. I was very worried about this team because originally I had like a Pangoro in the Metagross slot, but the minute I posted it, everyone just started like jumping on me like, "Where is the Gardevoir?" It's like, bro. And yeah, panic like settled, and I had like Goro plus Rocks Rhyperior, so I just decided to shift the roles a bit, and I went with this, and I'm pretty happy with it. I
Yeah.
think that is pretty much it. I just want to say that I'm a big like advocate for when it comes to building stuff, especially in a tier like SSRU, which again is like very recycle heavy, if that makes sense. So yeah, I want to push for more people to bring their own teams, and Attribute has been doing that for the majority of his games, and I've seen a lot of people like actively building more and more. So I'm really like excited for it.
Yeah. Love to see it. I think Sword and Shield RU is definitely a little more favorable in hindsight than it was when it was like current gen. People are very divided on the gen as a whole. I don't know how. Well,
Yeah,
BluBird, we know that you love the gen too.
yeah, it is.
But yeah, I mean, people have varying opinions on whether or not it's like a good gen. Sword Shield as a whole, is pretty polarizing.
I think that SS has like the best lower tiers of all time, and I will fight anyone over this. I know that I'm like on the minority, but I fell in love with the lower tiers because of Sword and Shield. So yeah,
I agree with you.
nice. Now there's two of us.
I'm one of us, right?
Nice. Okay, cool. Anyone else have anything you want to kind of bring up about the game? BlueBird's here, so any questions for him, I suppose. Yeah.
Nice, thank you.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's always great to have like a player come in and like kind of walk us through what
Yeah,
exactly the thought process was for it. Um, but yeah, all right, moving on. We have two Scarlet Violet games now. Scarlet Violet by far the biggest sample size of all games. So I just kind of tried to pick a couple that I thought were kind of fun. But yeah, here we have Tohenha versus Floss. Tohenha was a sub, I believe, right? Was that
Yeah, China was a sub. He subbed in for, I
was
can't
it Lion?
remember. Yeah, it was Line, exactly. It was Line.
Yeah. So here we have Facade Cycles are something that really is kind of fallen out of fashion, but here you see it putting up big numbers. Cycles are, as everyone who's played, watched Scarlet Violet RU knows, is like the Glumon of the tier. You really can't. Big Mega Horn miss, by the way. Huge Mega
Mm,
Horn miss.
Yeah, that mega arm
Um,
is big. We're happy about that.
yeah. But yeah. But this the lizard is kind of everywhere. And these teams are both like kind of pretty representative of the tier right now. I mean, you have your Calm Minders, um, and like Enamorous and Slowbro respectively. You have your bulky pivots. Both teams have Amoonguss Cyclozar cores. You have your big ground attacker on the fields right now. Crocodile, Rhyperior, Jirachi's because it's Jirachi. Just very indicative, I think, of the current meta. And
Yeah, I would
the,
agree.
yeah.
I don't know. I think the current, like the week two SV teams were a bit different from what I had envisioned when I started looking at the tier to build for RUPL. I was thinking I'd see a lot more Hippodowns, a lot less Zapdos Galars, a lot more Namoroses. But I think that Jirachi, Cyclozar, Regenerator, Mons, plus Ground is like pretty much every team that isn't hyper offense right now.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Hippowdon, we have trends of things that are popular, they fall out of popularity, get popular again. Hippowdon was one of those in the last couple months. Huge usage, but now, a little too passive maybe for meta, a little too easy to be exploited by the Calm Minders. So we see a lot of things like Rhyperior, who is just a harder hitter, or like Crocodile, who has super effective like knockoff versus those Calm Mind Psychics coming out to play. Amoonguss too, someone who I don't really think had a lot of representation, but here we see two of them like staring each other down. So yeah, definitely interesting. Thunderous, not to be ignored either. Huge threat in the tier.
They're broken.
Yes, Thunder is broken. I'm
It's like
personally a big advocate for Double Dance. I think Double Dance is really hard to just find any answers for. If you look at Floss's team, if there's a Double Dance Thundy with Terra Flying, you really can't do much versus it. You kind of have to pray for like a Sludge Bomb Poison and just like pivoting, whittling it down. But yeah, I don't know. Just put this in fast too. Really indicative of the game. I thought this was just like a very solid game played from both sides. I mean,
yeah, it was a pretty good game. Just like positioning for the first half of the game, which is like the like common theme in most SV games that I've watched that didn't involve hyper offense,
mm-hmm.
which were a lot of them. Just position yourself into a winning position.
We see an
Yeah,
Amorous coming in doing huge damage, just muscling right past Amoonguss. Resist,
yeah, the
not
game is
really.
overrated.
But now the
That
game's over.
does so much. Numbers does so much damage. What the? Was that specs?
I think
Yeah,
so.
it's best. Yeah,
Jesus
it is
Christ.
best.
But
That's a
it
lot.
doesn't matter because you have Jirachi, and Jirachi clicks
Which
buttons.
wins because this is not max speed Thunderous for some reason.
Yes, very strange. Even if it was max speed
Oh,
Thunderous,
electric.
you had Terra
Red
Electric anyway
electric.
to survive hits. So
Yeah, but like you could have Volt Swish and then knocked off and probably would have killed.
true,
But
true. It was probably Double Dance Thundy then if it's running modest. But
yeah,
again,
doing
you
that.
probably should be running max speed on Double Dance Thundy.
And I was gonna
But yeah,
ask if Terra Electric is like picking up in,
yeah. I've
in
seen a
heavy
lot of
battle.
Terra Electric personally because of Jirachi, mostly.
Yeah, because
You dodge your Body Slam Paras, you dodge or
Yeah.
you resist Iron Head. Um,
You also get to quote unquote tech double blast Sandy because Terra Blast flying, as I've heard, is like terrorizing the tier.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Double
yeah,
Dance. I think having an electric type, a Terra Electric, is borderline mandatory on these types of teams,
Yeah, I
especially
kind of agree.
yeah the fat ones. You don't have anything really faster than a Thundy, excluding Zapdos, but Thundy in base resists both of your stabs, so that's not a very reliable revenge killer.
Yeah,
Um,
there's
Cyclozar.
cycles.
Cyclozar is a quote unquote switch in, but even for regular Thundies, you get knocked. You get knocked with Cyclozar, you get parried, you get focus blasted, you get pivoted on. Like it's
I think that
very easy.
Cyclozar is more like an option to trade with Thundy. If that makes
Yeah,
sense. Instead of
sure.
like
I mean,
hard taking or something, because being
like
faster and having like Nocturne is very important in this
yeah, I
tier.
mean Draco's too, Dragon Tails to prevent setup. Like Cyclozar brings a lot to the table. So
Yeah, yeah, fantastic one.
yeah, but yeah, I
Yeah,
mean Jirachi came in, Terra Electric, calm minded, and the game is over. Shadow Ball too. Picking up on usage on Jirachi specifically for the Jirachi mirrors. We saw that come up.
Slower as well. Yeah, I'm
Slowbro as well,
guessing
the fat psychics.
is the last move I suppose is Thunderbolt, right? The Terra
the
Electric
last
buff.
move is not Thunderbolt.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
don't know
I'd
if I'm
assume.
gonna say it
You don't
because it
have,
didn't get
yeah,
revealed.
you
you're
don't
right
have to
for this.
disclose. We're out theory a little bit. It could be Ironhead. I think Ironhead is still a pretty good bring on this type of thing because you have Hacks Machine, Jirachi. It could be that. Wish, another option, just U-turn, pivot, move. I don't know. You have a lot of options with Jirachi that it can field pretty reasonably well. So it's a lot of flexibility, I think, with Jirachi.
At the end of the day, it's a Jirachi. Like you can't go too wrong in terms
Yeah,
of like
yeah, and
coverage.
you
Like,
really can't build an incredibly wrong Jirachi. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, good stuff. Good stuff from Tohono. Good stuff from Floss. All right. Next up,
Oh
we
no.
have the
Oh
Feli
yes.
replay versus Helm, the DOD team. Now, I would again
The Ox
look
Gaming.
at Crocodile and look at this team. Also, look at Okie Dokie and look at this team. This is also kind of crazy because this is a banded Okie Dokie that did 30% to opposing Doki. Crazy stuff. And now Crook is in, and
It's also banded.
what happens? What happens? What happens now? 71 on Thundy. Cool.
That was a good
Voltage.
as well switch.
Yeah,
That was a great switch. That's banded. Are we sure that's banded?
I think that's banded. And now Crook's in on Dio again, and this is a knockoff, click buttons. It really is the Crook show. Like, this game is Crocodile the movie. You see it just, yeah, button clicking.
And it just clicks knockoff all over again.
Double-edged cycles are. Don't know how I feel about that personally, but
I think it's pretty good because it's a great damage option
mhm.
that isn't Draco Meteor, so you don't drop your offensive power while clicking the move.
So
I think
now
it's pretty
the Crocodile is now countered by the Oxys.
Yeah, countered by doing 50%, got rock stop.
Yes.
Like,
I wouldn't exactly say countered, but
yeah. Also
Correct.
notable,
Yeah.
recovered 6 PP. So if you wanted to do that, you could just click buttons forever. Now we have a Fire Punch Jirachi. I thought this was kind of cool tech.
The DPP
Someone has
special.
explained to me the Doom Desire Jirachi hype because LPZ brought that into my game as well,
Yeah,
and I don't get
this
it.
is I think
No
we'll
way
see.
this specific Jirachi is viable, right?
Yeah, this is a crazy Jirachi spread. Doom Desire
Oh,
mono
wow.
attacking with Encore, very crazy set. Talisman, the
It's not
spin
more
blocker
bad
going.
than crazy, honestly,
Yeah,
because it doesn't do much, and you're fodder for a lot.
yeah.
I don't like it personally, but sure, I
It,
guess.
it, it was it was a tech choice. MC was like, big thinking about Encore Jirachi coming into the week. So, we saw an opportunity, decided to take it. Just happened to work out, which was good.
That's good.
Banded Dogi comes back in now. Finally, the Crocodile is dead, but after it did,
Oh yeah, it's Scarf Doggy, not Bandit. I thought so.
oh
That seemed
yeah,
like
So much still.
too little damage
maybe
for.
maybe it was Banded Dogi on an earlier version of the team. We built this team a few times.
Oh, yeah, well, that makes sense.
But yeah,
Oh,
Terra Normal. What was that for?
Probably Ghost Resist.
I guess Basque Legion is annoying, right?
But what are you touching it with? Body Slam, Fire Punch, Iron Head?
I think you probably have a last move that touches it. Probably. I don't know.
It's
Okay, fair
interesting.
enough.
The
But yeah, I
normal is
mean,
also a good neutral
Maybe
Terra.
Dylan knows. Why was like Terra normal?
Was it for like boosted body slam damage?
I don't think. No, I don't think that makes sense.
It might have
yeah,
mattered. It might have mattered for like some sort of calc. I'm not gonna say what our last one was, but like yeah, Terra Normal was useful for something, I guess.
interesting. Okay. I mean, I don't really think about Body Slam as a true damaging option, but you say so. You also
Yeah,
saw, MC pull out the Terra Fly tech at the end too. That was kind of funny. Unnecessary for sure, but very funny. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That wraps up the replays then for week 2. Now we're in week 3. New matchups. We've also been here for a while, so I don't want to go super in depth with this, but kind of just who do we think is gonna win out on these weeks, I guess. So yeah, let's just hop right to it. Toxic Chains, Hustlers. Um, How are you feeling?
I think the chains are favored in SV, SS, and RS, I'd say.
Okay.
And Hustlers probably take SM, Black, White, and best of three.
Yeah.
That's what I
I,
would predict.
I think best of three is definitely one of the more interesting slots to look at here. Evie and Beraldo have had two like pretty hard seasons so far, so
I
Yeah,
would
it'll be nice.
probably, yeah.
this is gonna be
It'll
redemption week for someone.
exactly. I mean, they're
Mm,
both 0-2 right now, so this is going to be a big week for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I think the Hustlers have like better odds to win. I kind of see them going like 2-1 in SV, just because I'm like a big Lion fan. Uh, I think SS probably goes to the Toxic Chains. Then
I
SM,
think
I'm going to say it goes to the Toxic Chains too. I think Center's like great, obviously, but like we just kind of struggled so far. And I don't know, like if in SM, I don't care about Ras, and then Black and White, Gale, probably. Then like
yeah.
Beraldo.
I think black and white specifically for the toxic chains. There was something funny that happened during draft, where I think it was Oathkeeper dropped it. The positioning was chains
Mm.
needed two people to fill out the roster. They had 10K. Um, Oathkeeper nominated someone and dropped 7K immediately. This is like
Yeah.
the very
Even
ending
dark.
parts of draft, and that was just kind of very surprising. So I mean, Devin's been showing out. He's been doing pretty well so far. So
I think one of the interesting dynamics regarding this Black-White game is that Devin versus Guile is gonna be like a showcase of, with no disrespect, to, like either player, of course, a showcase of the stronger in-game versus the better builder.
mhm,
Because I believe that Devin in-game is like very, very clever and very aggressive when he needs to, and Guile has like the very big advantage in the team builder. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how this plays out.
yeah, absolutely. Um, Also, any comment, BluBird, for the Mace Metallica matchup? I mean,
It's gonna be tough because both players are gonna try to like surprise one another. I think that overall Mace is gonna bring something more solid, but Metallica has like a knife, or like as I said before, has a knife like snatch out the weaknesses in the scout and just exploiting them in a very unique way. I think I'm gonna give the edge to Mace here because I know that he's gonna be like quote unquote fed up with the O2 and he's gonna go ballistic. So
yeah,
for like from here on out, so I'm looking forward to that. I don't think like Metallica is like not like is like a bad player, or have a like a bad matchup versus Mace. I would wager like 55 to 45 for Mace.
all right,
It's gonna be a banger game, like most likely gonna be offense versus offense. So you always love to see that.
good stuff. All right, any more comments on Toxic Chains Hustlers?
Just want to say that the last thing I want to say is that first of all, I'm eager to see what Thiago brings in SV because I just love the unorthodox brings from his part. Generally, not just this season. And I also want to say that I favor Santu in SM for the same reasons I favor Mace in SS. I just think that he's like incredibly in game. So and that's gonna okay,
Ooh,
What's happening?
and that's gonna map itself out in the game.
Okay.
okay, cool.
Yeah, I'd agree with favoring Sin too, as well. I think he's like very, very strong and will probably be comfortable enough to outplay 50-50 to 40-60 matchup. So I'd
Yeah.
probably hold him, but Crossbow has been building very consistently throughout our UPLs. So if he finds the great counter team to what Sentu's gonna bring, he's probably gonna win.
Very sick. All right, so uh, is that anyone else just want to chime in on Toxic Chain Hustlers? Okay, cool. In that case, we can move on. Next matchup, Crunchwrap Supreme Overlord Juniors versus Bulletproof Bombers. How do we feel? What is uh, kind of the view on the week?
This might be close. The SV is pretty 50-50 all around. I'd give the edge to Meru probably in SS. Denial in SM. Ores is Ores. Anyone can take it. But never bowled against Ajna. And Black-White is Black-White.
Yeah, Avarice. I mean, up against Ajna this week. How is
I think it'll be a fun game. I still need him to respond to scheduling, so we'll see. I think a lot of our matchups should be pretty cool. We're against a pretty strong SV core, so I think it'll be good for us to really prove ourselves in knowing how the tier works. And I'm hoping we get that comeback in SS. Since Fog played well, but it was a bit. I think we need to improve the builder a bit, and we'll start getting more wins there.
I was gonna say about SS that I think this is gonna be like a very important week for Bound. Because I think that both weeks he's been like very close getting the win, but he misses out on the details. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how he bounces back.
They have like favored the tacos. Like I think the Bombers have like struggled in SV so far, and like the tacos are like kind of picking it up.
Yeah,
SS, yeah, I mean Maru's good, but Fogbound is too. So it's like I would say like favor Maru just because like he has more experience.
I think Meru has an edge like due to overall experience. Like
Yeah,
I'm being
I think
honest.
he also made like finals of the last SSRU tour, like when it was
Yeah,
like Korean.
yeah.
Just like a good player in general, and you all like knows it here, so
for sure.
yeah?
Another
I mean,
thing I
first,
want to highlight is that in best of three, Mansmith versus Felburn, I generally tend to never vote against Felburn in best of three because that man has like a million tricks up his sleeve. So every game is just a whole experience. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna push for Felburn to win this
I'm
personally.
biased, but I'm really
yeah, me
hoping
too.
Men's pulls it out. But I think honestly, I'm pretty confident in Men's this week, especially after honestly, just after the series with Felly versus Ryan. I find it hard to bold Felly here at least.
I think I would favor men's if like they can like if the tacos can like just kind of pick it up in SF
Yeah, we just have
because
to
I think they
pick
have
a new
SM
builder.
as SV covered at this point, and I think like men's is like the better player. Like if they can get like an even matchup or whatever, I think men's can win. And I think I would favor him in SV and SM because I
I
just
think
like don't really trust the bombers and SV at all because I don't know, they just look lost.
yeah, I will
I'm
say for Scarlet Violet specifically, and just kind of this is indicative of the Bombers as a whole. Their team isn't made up of a lot of quote unquote mainers. A lot of these are kind of just bigger tour players who have come down, which means their in game is solid, but they also rely on a lot of Felly and a lot of Ashna to be feeding teams, which could be a benefit, could be a detraction. It really depends how hard people are willing to commit to the C teaming bit and how well Felly and Ajna can adapt because both of them have pretty distinctive building styles, I'd say. Um, yeah, just something they knew coming into this, and then they're kind of parsing through how to deal with that as the weeks go on.
Yeah, I think I have like this curious SV core if they can like try to solve it.
Hmm.
But like the first 2 weeks just haven't like been like too inspiring.
For sure.
yeah.
All right. Anyone else? Any matchups you want to highlight here? Just comments on Crunchwrap Supreme Overlord Juniors versus Bulletproof Bombers.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. Moving on then. Tenacious Technicians versus Noble Guardians. Uh, yeah, just thoughts on the matchup. We have a couple subs here actually too, right? I see Black White.
Yeah.
Astro is playing for the first time
Astro
here.
subbed in for Blazing Dark, and BT Boy subbed in for ODR because he's busy this week.
Yep.
I'm so excited to see Astro getting in again.
Yeah,
I
Astro, he's had
it's
very
such a
strong performances in Black White. I'm
yeah,
a little
yeah.
surprised we haven't seen more of him.
I was actually saying to him, like I was telling him that you'll definitely get that sound like in the upcoming weeks. Like he's a very good player, and I trust that I knew that they would trust him eventually to start, and I believe it's gonna pay off.
Yeah, I hope so.
It was a lot of effort too in prepping.
Yeah. Astra is very, very, very active. He builds a lot.
Yeah,
I hope it just pays off for him to start because he's been struggling in the past, and I just hope that this season is the one where he finally gets to win a lot.
I think it's very similar to Metallica in that sense. But he's
Yeah,
never
kind
like
of.
the star of the show, but he's always like a consistent part of a team.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure. ZS, do you have any like comment about just Scarlet Violet stuff in general? Noble Guardians have, they've been showing out in Scarlet Violet. I think they swept last week. So, just what are your thoughts coming in?
Yeah, I think the Guardians have pretty good SV core, especially Umbreeze. Fantastic player. Uh, Even Frank Josh is just amazing at the game. I
Frank
think
just
their
falling
teams
off.
were pretty good. I think their teams were pretty good, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see what we can do in the builder to counter that. But yeah, I'm looking
Although
forward to the matchups.
I just want to say that regarding the SV matchups in Technicians versus Guardians, it's as even as it gets, in my opinion. Like we're probably looking at in my opinion, two of the best SV cores in the tour, just battling it out. So it's gonna be very exciting to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
One of the highlight matches for me specifically is Ishtar. Ishtar is, rough couple weeks, stalled week one. Week two, just, you know, tough loss. So definitely a bounce back week for them. Seattle coming off their first win of the tour. So, obviously looking to sustain that success. So that's certainly something for me that I will be keeping my eye on personally. Also BT Boy Gondra. BT Boy, I I don't, he hasn't played, right? Did he sub in week one? I don't
no,
think
it's
so.
his first game.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what they do as a newcomer. Astro, I have faith in, but like obviously fun to see him too. And then best of three. This is probably one of this one and the next one we'll talk about. But Franklin Punny, these are two like super heavyweights, right? So I'm very excited to see this.
Yeah, this should be a great game. I think all the games in the series are pretty close. Don't think there's a clear favorite here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yes.
this feels like a 4-4 week to me. Like I don't feel super comfortable bolding really either Guardians or Technicians. They're just very quality teams through and through.
Yeah, in any slot too. Like the matchups like are as split as it gets. Willy
Hmm.
versus Attribute is also like a very banger. It's gonna be like a very careful game. I think a careful approach from both, and I think it's gonna be a more drawn out game rather than like bang bang type of 12 turns sweeps type of thing. It's gonna be a very good position game, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And then last matchup for predictions: Iron Fisters, Payloaders. Um,
I'm
Currently,
winning. I'm sorry.
yeah. Okay, call him out. Hey, call him out, BluBird. Dunox will be listening to this. I'll come back and
I've
tell him what you were
also
saying.
I've also let him know that I'm winning this week. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like a yeah, I think this matchup is also pretty even. SV at 5 at favor the Fisters, I think.
Oh, it's
Like,
Lamas and Noras and Robin.
Yes. So a couple notable subs too. So our Black White, Phoenix is on the bench this week. Clementine coming out to play. Um, Dunox, or I'm sorry, not Dunox. Rob Jr. is no longer in the Oras slot. Him and Llamas have swapped up. So now Llamas is captain, is leading the charge in Oras. Rob Jr. is our slot one SV. So a lot of switches from us personally. But it'll be interesting to see. A lot of screen time for people who maybe have been playing but not in those tiers, or just like Clementine coming off the bench. So good stuff, I think.
yeah,
I think they're also like very fair like rotations in the slots. Like having Rob in Noras and Lamas in SV. is like equally strong in my opinion as the way that you have it now. Clementine is also like a very experienced black and white player in my opinion, and they're not afraid to like pull triggers on the builder. It's gonna be a very exciting game. Just a Golgat.
Yeah, to be fair, like this lineup from the Iron Fisters is the one I expected when I saw the draft. Like, if I had to pick a lineup right after the draft, this is what I would have put in, not the ones you had in the first 2 weeks. So
Mhm.
it didn't shock me much. I didn't even realize they were changes. Like, it just all made sense to me.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like a little interested in what you have to say, especially with some of these lower tier matchups, because I know Clementine is someone who's been in Black White community for a while, and Goldcat obviously is like the helmsman for Black White. So just wanted to your opinion on
I think
how you think
I
that.
would favor Gold Cat. I think he's like a better player, and he just knows it here pretty well. I think one thing that overall with like favorite of Fisters because I think his field looks really good. I just like the matchups, and honestly, like in both three, I'm kind of biased, but I would still build Ryan against Star just because I think he just knows the tiers better than Star. And I'm not sure like how much Star cares about this Star. It's like usually just like a play that you get and like you pass teams to.
Yeah, Ryan's gonna actually be testing, and Star is gonna be loading whatever he gets. Pretty much. That's yeah. I don't think there's any chance there's anything different than that.
Right.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
I think I would
Matt,
not hold the Fisters. I'd probably just 4 for them. Like give the Fisters 2-1 in SV, then BluBird in SS,
Nice.
and then oh yeah, and then
I've won the
probably
people already. Nice.
first I'd like coin flip. If he loads a good team, he wins. If he doesn't,
Yeah, well, I'll just check up on him and see
yeah,
what he
just check
can
out he
do.
doesn't bring something weird like Servine, and you're gonna be fine. Uh, I'm excited to see Lamas come back in Oris. He's been pretty good in the past, and he should do great, especially with Shaitanya not doing so hot recently. Um, Black White is just Black White, and I just pulled Ryan as well versus Star. Yeah, probably 4-4 or 5-3 for the Fisters, something around those lines.
all right, cool. Okay. Any more comments about that? Or if not, we can kind of just any comments about like week three in general. I think this is one of the more interesting weeks we have. I think Fisters Payloaders is
It's
fantastic.
gonna be like very decisive for the standings
Yeah,
as they are
absolutely. I
right
mean,
now.
right now we have a lot of middle of the pack things after 2 weeks. We
Yeah,
have two teams tied for first at three, but everything's still in striking range. So this is a a very big week for a lot of people. Um,
There's 3 teams at 3 actually,
three teams at
and
three.
4 teams at 1. Yeah, there's the Guardians at 3, the Chains at 3, and the Juniors at 3, and then
Right,
us at 2, and everyone else at 1. So it's
right.
pretty clustered.
Yeah. I mean that was something I think too that a lot of people expected going into this RUPL. Even during the draft channel, we talked a lot about like the parity, right? So a lot of these teams, there's not a clear-cut favorite. Um, so now that we're actually kind of getting into the meat of the season, it'll be interesting to see how things kind of parse out who takes a front run, who's maybe hanging around the back. I mean, playoffs, while far away now, definitely like we're gonna start seeing favorites come out of the pack very soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. All right. Any
very good.
closing comments from y'all about kind of recaps? Anything week two, week three?
Just wanted to say thank you for having me. Appreciate it because RUPL is like a clear cut, like my favorite tournament of all time. Like last year, I joined for the first time and it was like a banger with the illusionist. And I was like with a lot of my friends, and it really made me closer to the community. So I really appreciate the whole experience. And this call as well was really fun doing the recaps and the breakdowns and all of that. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it was
Absolutely. I
pretty
mean,
fun.
yeah, thank you everybody for giving your time. I mean, this ran a little longer than I think I was expecting. Not sure how long y'all thought this would go for, but yeah, your time is greatly appreciated. I know a lot of y'all are coming back from like work, or it's like just kind of quite late for you in general. So yeah,
I
appreciation
also
for
have a
everything.
quick comment, by the way. I have a quick comment. Ming, you should start using ad blocker. Thank you.
Okay, is that is that
Fiend
Fiend?
with
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that was
sweet.
Fiend with his 2 cents. Yeah.
Thank you, Fee.
You're welcome.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say thanks for having me on the call. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Thanks for having me. Go team.
Absolutely. Okay. So, that'll be that then. Wrapped up. We recaps for week 2 slash predictions for week 3. Some replays in the middle too. Thank all of y'all for coming out, showing out, and thank everyone for sitting through all this. If you actually sat through the entire time, that is, kudos to you all for that. But yeah, until next time, goodbye.